Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Stream of Chaos. My name is James, and I will be the GM for today's game of Rivers of London, the first scenario, first session, real session at least, in our brand new run of some action in the strange demi-monde that lurks between the shadows of... I should have thought of a better one-line introduction, so I'll throw that to my players instead as we quickly get everyone to introduce themselves. Can I get you to start off, please? Art.
Hi, I'm Art, and you'd think I'd be used to going first by now. And every time I'm like, oh yeah, it's me. Shit. Um, I mean, isn't hang on, I should know this, and I feel bad about this. Um, yeah, Ben, is it
Ben
Aronovich?
Aranovich's Rivers of London.
Aronovich, yeah, that's where you were like, leave it to the players. I'm like, we're gonna play a game in Ben Aranovich's blah blah blah, London.
Excellently
Nailed it.
put. No, this is perfect. This is good. Now, to repeat the same introduction, Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. We'll get to character introductions briefly.
We'll do
Great.
characters now?
Later.
Characters later. Great.
we'll do them later.
Well, no, Jim, tell us what to do. Take control here.
Please introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Oh, we are moving on. No characters.
Couldn't have been.
Fantastic. We'll cut all this out. Hey, I'm Jackson, and I am so ready to play some Rivers of London by Aaron Benenovich.
It doesn't sit as well considering you have read every available skerrick of fiction and content out there.
And mentioned
It's
it several times last
true.
time we were on
Yeah, I
screen.
was hoping for a clean slate, but I guess that's chased me down. Especially because Jim and I, in the car to Chaosium Con last week, Jim was telling me about the Rivers of London game he ran set in France and how he just had to make up some of the canon. And I said, well, actually, there's 3 paragraphs in this short story, in the short story collection, that tells you about the academy in France and what happened to it after the World War. And so I was messaging him.
Yeah,
Corrections for his own home game that I wasn't even there for. That's how far down this rabbit hole I am.
private chat with highlighted sections. Dave, what game are we playing?
Hi, I'm Dave, and we're playing Rivers of London by Ben Aranovich.
That's far too...
I don't have a bit.
Yeah, no, it's far too correct.
Dave being the straight man, I mean, I guess that's on point.
I'm setting Alex up to really just nosedive.
Looking forward to it. Alex, please.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm joining for this wonderful Rivers of London by Ben A.
Hey.
That's
Perfect.
safe. That's safe.
Yeah, nicely done.
Yep. And don't worry, I'm more than capable of managing a nosedive without any setup at all.
No better advertisement for oneself. No, fantastic. In all seriousness, yeah, we are playing Rivers of London, and we created characters in a previous session, which you can see on the Chaosium YouTube channel. If you would like to know who we are playing and see the steps behind it, obviously we're going to introduce our characters in a bit more detail, and we are going to be playing to start off with one of the scenarios that comes from the Rivers of London core book. It is actually based on one of the extended stories that Ben wrote in Tales from the Folly, but it's been lightly changed, and then I've also thrown in a bunch of extra stuff just specifically to keep Jackson on his toes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't
So
remember. I read the name, but I can't remember what happened. But maybe I'll remember some of it. But maybe I won't. Who can say?
It's a mystery. We
It's
will...
not.
No, yeah. we'll get started in just a moment. But first of all, I want to say a quick thank you to Roll20, fantastic tool, which we use to improve our game. And just remind everyone, if you want to pick up Rivers of London, you can get it from chaosium.com or from your friendly local game store. So check it out if you're keen. Without further ado, let's get started. Our game takes place in London, the standard city of pouring rain and traffic, at least if you go by the stereotypical depiction of it from the world outside. Of course, London's a big place with all kinds of things happening in it, and just sometimes those things can get a little bit weird. When they do get weird, that's when the collection of you, or more specifically, the Folly, get involved. The four of you are associates or some direct employees of the Folly, the Metropolitan Police answer to all of the weird bollocks that goes on in London that the standard everyday folk don't really know how to deal with. You're magic police, and you do your best to keep people of the demi-monde, the halfway point between magic and the real world, sort of safe, and also the people of the everyday safe from the demi-monde. These things can tend to collide rather explosively. You've all been involved in this for a different amount of time, getting into the Folly through different ways, and our story will start with all of you being called in by DCI Nightingale, the head of the Folly, to give you your first real case as a collective. But first of all, let's get a snapshot of everybody's character. Since this is a game where we're going to be talking about people's personal lives, what you do, where you live in London is going to be important. And as alluded to, we will be dwelling on traffic and rain and all of the other fun parts of travel in the big city. Maybe talk us a little bit about where you might have woken up this morning, what kind of digs your character lives in, and how you would have gotten across to the Folly knowing that you need to report there for work. Going with our standard order of things, let's start with Art. This time, you can introduce your character.
Okay. Hello. I am playing Elaine Pudding, who generally goes more by their surname these days than first name, but both names are a thing. They are a relatively slight person of like indiscriminate gender, disheveled, like bright copper pixie cut hair and eyes that are like really that real kind of like piercing green, almost with a bit of like amber coming through, like they're almost lit from behind. Wakes up probably in a flat somewhere. I'm just thinking about like what I know about London. It's probably like a relatively small London flat. I'm gonna say that they have a housemate that they live with who works as a nurse for the NHS. So is currently not home because they work a lot of night shift or day shift. Essentially, someone for whom I wake up and there's other people's stuff in the house and they're not there because that's easy. Rolls out of bed into this small flat, like gets a cup of coffee. No, tea. It's tea. Has a cup of tea in a slightly chipped ceramic mug, probably with one of those like slogans on it. Whatever, there was a slogan about like respecting or like celebrating the NHS during COVID. So I suspect it's something like that. Folks who are actually from the UK, please give me an appropriate slogan for that. But there is a chipped ceramic mug that they're drinking out of, drinking their first cup of tea of the day. They will go through many. They are a good Englishman. Throws on, like a light, what are they called? My brain wants to say almanac, but that's a book.
Oh, anorak.
Anorak, thank you. Anorak or Parker or something, just like keep the drizzle off. I feel like if there's anything I know about London weather, it's not quite pissing down yet, but it's definitely got that enough like mist and like light rain that just gets in under every single like part of your clothing and into your bones. It's just miserable. Throws on a small backpack and then like runs out the door to the nearest tube station.
Do you think that you fit in on the tube and in the everyday sort of run of things?
I mean, I'd say like as a general rule, they probably like, pull on a beanie to cover like the shock of red hair, but there's probably still like a bit sticking out. I'd say they're a little more chipper than your average Londoner. They sort of are a little bit, they keep their head down through the morning rush hour or the evening rush hour or whenever it is that they're waking up. but like has a bit more of that kind of fresh-faced excitement about the world. They haven't quite been beaten down yet. um, you know, so they don't stand out, but they're not one of the crowd.
So, despite what we know about your character's somewhat unique background, they seem to fit in relatively well to the everyday of London. We'll see how they
Yeah, they're probably a bit like they get on the tube and their clothes steam a bit more than like, because they've just run a little warmer. So they're like the carriage kind of steams up a bit, assuming it isn't already very steamy with the number of people that are in there. Um yeah. But outside of that, I think like most people who are going about their day to day would not notice anything different about them.
excellent. So, from rolling out of bed in an apartment, if my read of the situation is right, we'll get a pretty different feel from our Folly accredited Newtonian wizard. Jackson, do you want to introduce your character?
Yes, I am Jackson, and I am playing PC, which stands for Police Constable, not player character. PC, Patrick Lewis, who, yes, is just a straight up, full on cop. And that works out really well. Not the average cop. He had a go, a red hot go at, chasing down baddies in the streets during his probation, and it wasn't for him. He got sorted into the. I meant to look this up. The department
bureaucratic
that
arm,
just
yeah.
that just makes sure all the paperwork is right. And I think he's got a demeanor to match. I think he's young, mid-20s at a guess. I just realized the image in my head is I think it's Oliver from The Thick of It. But also that's just kind of me. I don't want to just play me, but I think that's what I'm falling into.
Well, let me ask you a sort of urban fantasy related question then. There
Go
is a
for
certain element where you are learning to be a wizard. That's pretty cool.
It
Does
is.
PC Lewis think it's as cool as it sounds, or is it sort of just another day on the job, really? Would you rather be a spreadsheet wizard?
Yeah, well, I think that's it. It's like I think he knows he's in a unique new position because he was kind of to the Folly, to help with their kind of digitization and database kind of stuff. And, he went, well, I got to understand magic. I'm going to be working on this stuff. And I think he is excited to be, the admin guy for the magic place. Like he's at the frontier. He's at this very boring frontier of an exciting place. And I don't know how he feels about it. It's this really mixed feeling of, wow, I am one of the new breed of wizards, and I'm here to do something that, I'm actually really good at and only I can do.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, that's cool. There's a professional aspiration tucked in, just maybe the raw glee camouflaging it a whole lot. Brilliant.
100%.
We'll move on to the next person then. I would normally now jump straight across, I guess, to Alex, because the two of you live together, and there is one human player and one not human player. But I can imagine...
That's how I want to phrase it.
Exactly. There is also a whole theme of dogs waking up their owners. So I actually might throw to you first, Dave, if you don't mind. Please introduce who you're playing.
Yeah, sure. So I won't describe too much of the place because this is Alex's home or Barton's. But I am playing Lucy. I am a sort of like older German Shepherd, very large, with a quite distinct scar from a gunshot above her like rear left leg. I think in the morning I post myself up on the couch and have a way of working my nose through the curtains to look out into the street as people come and go. And I watch sort of eagerly as posties go back and forth, or morning commuters, people just going about their day. And this silent routine will last until I hear the faintest, like sheet rustling from Barton's room or anything that might indicate them beginning to wake, at which point I launch myself off the couch, pick up a sort of plushie on the ground of some indeterminate species, and stand right at the door staring at it, so that all you can hear is my tail thumping against the fireplace nearby routinely as I wait for Barton to wake up. As soon as the door opens, I'll scurry across to fetch my empty bowl, knock it across the floor towards him, and then wait like in a perfect seated position until I am fed. I'm clearly well trained, but Lucy has a lot of personality. She's spent several years on the street as basically like a street dog. So there's some independence there. And if she wanted to, she has like a exit path basically from this apartment that she can come and go from. And probably at some point during the night when like a cat or something passed the area, she did let herself out, drop down onto the ground and did a short patrol before returning. So there's sort of like that like wet patch where the dog curls up on the carpet that can just be seen in the corner.
I'll ask you one question quickly. You mentioned silent vigil. You're not a barker?
No, although I can. I think that was very well trained. So, I use it to emote, so to get attention. And I think when Lucy doesn't bark by default. When she does, it is booming, and it is either to intimidate or to alert. I do not do it unless strictly necessary.
Perfect. All right, fantastic. Alex, last but not least.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm playing Mr. Barton Oslo. He's 52 years old, an accountant by day profession, although that's obviously not his passion. I mean, good for you if accountancy is your passion. It's a highly valued skill set. Hence why I've been doing it for so long. What Barton's really into is photography, film photography in particular. There is the apartment that Barton shares with Lucy, although perhaps he feels these days that it's kind of Lucy's apartment that he's sharing, because kind of feels like sometimes she might have the run of it more than he does. But that's okay. She's very trustworthy, and he hasn't been broken into once since she moved in, so that's a plus. But there is this is a 2-bedroom apartment, pretty close in to the center of London. I think Barton's doing pretty well for himself. As a lifelong bachelor, never had any kids. Grew up in Queensland, Australia, Yeppoon to be precise. Moved out of there pretty quick though. Well, it didn't really fit in. He doesn't really fit in anywhere in his life. Moved to London to start with. Caught the end of the punk scene, which was pretty bloody cool if you ask me. Traveled around Europe a bit, settled back in London, and has been here ever since.
Fantastic. Absolutely perfect. So this is our cast, and as I mentioned, you are all currently headed towards the Folly. You will have all gotten involved for a couple of different reasons. PC Lewis, we know that you are a formal Newtonian practitioner. You got through here via work. Pudding, we know that you have some association with the fire department. So in association with the sort of interplay between different emergency services, you have been sort of seconded across now and again. PC Lewis, you have the strongest attachment as a kind of direct employee, but you all find yourself there relatively often. Barton, we've said that you work with cameras, and specifically physical cameras, film, stuff that doesn't get corrupted by magic blasting and frying electronics. Correct.
And the at-home darkroom is set up, ready, raring to go.
There's a storied history of animals at the Folly in general, but you're mostly there because you're following along. Lucy, but you all have encountered some strange things yourself, so you've got the knack. In the Rivers of London fiction, Toby the ghost hunting dog has the yap meter. This would be more of a loud growl, dangerous bark-o-meter, but all the same.
As appropriate, yeah, exactly.
I imagine Lucy would approach it a lot more like a hunting dog would, where it's a point and a sit and a body language thing. Because when Lucy barks, people run.
With it.
Yeah.
Deal with it, or I will. So
you all arrive at pretty much a similar time, and you've been scheduled into a meeting with Nightingale. For those of you who might have read the first couple of books of the Rivers of London series, or who are familiar loosely with the idea of what the Folly is, without getting too much into spoilers, it's going through a couple of changes at the minute, and specifically, it's in a state of growth and flux. There are more people getting involved, like the collection of you, but also not people who are just there for the paranormal side of things. There's also a lot of bureaucracy present. Instead of Molly, the resident Fae being, preparing strange esoteric meals that are served to the few residents at the Folly, she's more doing mass production kind of stuff, creating like catering style things for all of these different people moving through. New whiteboards are coming in, all kinds of older case solving bits and pieces, because the electronic tools don't work, at least throughout most of the building. There are a select few areas in which some electronics will work, but the magical defenses of the place and just the sheer amount of power that is humming around plays haywire with things. Nightingale is typically on time, so you make sure that you're all punctual, and before long you are off in a small briefing room towards the side. It's a nice old building, lush old world filled with class and gravitas. It's only marginally marred by all of the cheap whiteboards and post-it notes and cat's cradles and like standard issue stuff that's been put around everywhere to make this place function as a hub for policing. You get a moment alone in the office before Nightingale arrives himself. Now, I'm not going to be able to do the fantastic voices that Cobiner Holbrook Smith does. If anyone has checked out the Rivers of London audiobooks, which I highly recommend.
Okay.
Really, really great stuff. But Nightingale is basically the best possible version of an old English gentleman that you might get. He has a cane that he walks with, although doesn't seem to rely too entirely on, and politely greets you all as he comes in before going around and taking a seat opposite you in the briefing room. It's not really a big desk facing you kind of situation. The police tried to get away with that to create a more, sense of camaraderie and stop putting up these artificial barriers between one another. But there is definitely a sense of you are being projected to by this person. Thank you all for coming. I'm glad that we finally have something that I think will be able to put your talents to the test. I know that you've all run into each other around the halls before and had some extended communications, but I want to make sure you're all comfortable with doing a little service for me at this point. Lewis, would you mind quickly going through everybody, redoing introductions? He sort of expects you to just kind of introduce them to each other, even though they know people. It's like team building.
Of course. And that is the point where I should have been taking notes about everyone's name and how they prefer to be referred to. Yep. Yes.
You do introductions. It's fine.
I do, and I do it with lots of yes sirs and please and thank yous. I am ready. I'm ready to be of service.
Okay, perfect. So we were always looking for opportunities to be able to enhance some of the police work and associate police work that we are doing here, and we found something that doesn't appear to be. Well, first of all, we don't have a complete assurance that it's a Falcon case. This is the designation for all things weird bollocks, all things magical. If something is a Falcon case, it is something that needs to be dealt with by the Folly. We don't have a confirmation.
Falcon as in the bird?
As in the bird. I thought it was
Right.
Fulcrum for so long, as in Fulcrum, Fulcron, I believe is the word, but it is Falcon. Designation Falcon.
Wait, what? Are you talking about fulcrum?
Fulcrum, yeah. This is just my bad pronunciation of things. A
Right.
plague that I run into a lot.
Fulcrum is a pivot point.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can see why that would also work, though, right?
Yeah, it sounds cool as hell.
It does.
Yeah.
I think Fulcrum is the acronym for like a different fantasies So that sounds familiar
Possibly.
to me as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I got mixed up there. Not sure. At any rate, we have no confirmation that it is indeed a Falcon case, but that is what we are hoping that the collection of you can do at this stage. We don't believe it's going to be acutely dangerous, but it's an excellent opportunity for the collection of you to put the training that we are trying to develop at the Folly to the test. This is exactly the kind of interagency and public participation support that is going to allow us to better serve the communities, demimonde and otherwise. He gestures towards a set of case files and says, I am ready to go through all the details with you, but first of all, do you have any prior questions, anything that we need to get out of the way beforehand?
I'd like to come up with a question so that I look like I've been paying attention.
That sounds like something that you would genuinely
Make a roll.
do you
Make
want
an intelligence roll.
yeah, or just a social roll would be totally fine here. You were trying to suck up to the boss, basically.
Yeah, I would probably ask, in a technical way that Jackson doesn't quite understand, but like what the hierarchy is, who we're reporting to, and who in the team, is calling the shots. And I think PC Lewis would probably ask that before realizing that as the only police constable, it might fall to him, which is not necessarily asking for. But that's what happens.
Oh, for sure. Why don't you make a social skill roll for me? One of the common skills.
I would love to, and my social skill is a mere 30.
Okay, so not fantastic.
No, but I'll make it.
Okay,
25 under 30.
Fantastic. So it's able to come across as very bureaucratic and officious. You don't sound like you're trying to get in command of things or anything.
Because I actually don't want that.
Yeah, no, totally. Fair enough.
But I just want to know.
Accidentally been put in command, which would have been terrible. But you just managed to continue to endear yourself to Nightingale. You seem like the type of person that he would get along with. That said, it is not as simple as you're going to be doing things, because in reality here, there's a big part of it that as the only police officer here, you kind of have all the responsibility, and like all of the weight is on you. You have to go with what everyone else says. So yes, there is a moment where, in an emergency, you might have the ability to give lawful orders, as the police do in general cases of emergency. But you also have to, you are acting as the liaison and sort of representative for community engagement and interagency cooperation. So you really have to listen to the others too. Similarly, going back the other way, it's as muddy as can be, so that all of you could arguably say you're the one who gets to be in charge, depending on the situation. All of you are subservient to the dog.
Very clear where the hierarchy goes.
When it's time for walkies, we say, how far?
Absolutely.
Like you said, we've interacted with each other before.
Absolutely.
So does that mean that like Lucy is comfortable with the rest of us, or not really?
I think I think I
am. I think we've interacted enough that you've all passed the friend test, and Lucy is now like sleeping in the corner, ears occasionally flicking when she hears her own name or one of your names, or if any word just happens to sound like something that might be found in the butcher. Apart from that, she's kind of like, snoozing in the corner.
I suspect that his pudding is hungry all the time. Wayfish creature, hungry all the time. So absolutely went to Pret a Manger before coming here to get like a coffee and maybe like a ham roll, and probably at one point was like, hey Lucy, I got some ham. And then if taken and accepted, would also offer ear scritches with some very toasty hands.
If you've been discovered to be the person with snacks at any point, then Lucy has seated herself under the table. I think the table's been removed next to you, facing you for as long as. Well,
there's absolutely like that slightly childlike like bite for me, small bit of ham for you. Bite for me, small bit of ham for you. And every now and again, if anyone was paying attention, you would notice that like the coffee that they're holding just like continually kind of steams no matter how long they've been drinking it.
Very good. Okay, fantastic.
I think Buns probably acquired a cup of tea from an official source in the building. None of this paper cup takeaway bullshit. Has demanded a cup of tea, and between gulps of it, will hand it to Pudding.
Yeah, every now and again, Pudding's just like,
Because he's definitely noticed that Pudding's coffee doesn't seem to get cold. So just
just hand it, and then Pudding just goes, oh, just without even kind of thinking, just touches it briefly and then goes back to drinking their coffee. Bite for you, ham for Lucy.
So just a quick bit of context I mentioned that you would all know each other, and I mentioned that there's been a lot of work happening at the Folly recently. There have been basically, they're running workshops kind of thing, and you would have been going once or twice a week to these like training events that are happening. They would have been things that even you would have been attending, Lewis, because it's part of your, basically training and outreach as a police officer to do so. So you've all been exposed to the same gradual awareness and training details about how to do things like sense vestigia and how to interact with the Demimonde and how you're all going to be cooperating together.
Everything you need to know about magic without actually like learning how to do magic, but it's helpful to know about magic.
You don't get a certificate at the end because that'd have too much to explain. But it's the kind of thing where you might think that you'd get a cert card or something like that. If there's no other questions, then Nightingale starts to go through the details a little more precisely. He says, so
I think the question would just be like, so what's happening?
Yeah. Here's the basics. This case was referred to us by our colleagues over at Convent Gardens, the police department over there. A part of the Metropolitan Police, obviously, but it's the specific branch over there. I'm terrified of pronouncing that wrong, but Convent Gardens. Covent. Yeah, that's
Covent Gardens.
Yeah, Covent Gardens. Thank you.
Welcome to the. How many of these vowel/consonants do you need to drop to make this sound normal?
It's a little bit of a game.
Yeah. Did you want to know the spelling of Leicester?
No, I
the
don't.
spelling of Leicester.
So Covent Gardens.
Or the historical name of Leicester, because that's why it's spelt fucky. Leicestershire.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad. Anything with Shire in it can't be that bad. Covent Gardens is basically a large mall area, for want of a better word. Or it's got this sort of very put together area of main street shops, and there are some built up shaded areas where you can go through the main drag and do all kinds of shopping. It's a pretty upmarket in the sense of there's a lot of business and tourism and foot traffic and stuff like that. The word specifically comes from from a bookstore called Stonewaters Bookstore. There has been a report of a crime that took place, an assault specifically, that took place overnight inside the basement of Stonewaters Bookshop. One of the staff members claims that they were assaulted in the dead of the night by an invisible assailant. And that they started ranting about the possibility of ghosts, of hauntings. They became very, very distressed. And upon hearing some of these details, the case was immediately referred to the Folly. So this is still in the very immediate stages of being investigated. You are going to be going to the scene, and while there are police who have arrived sort of in a first responder capacity, you're going to be conducting some of the first interviews, investigations, checking out the scene. That does come with some, unique opportunities, but also you need to be aware of a few things like, so the bookstore is currently closed, and because it's a crime scene, and they want to open. They want to pack up and get back to business as quickly as possible. You've got a witness who wants to be interviewed and to be done with this as quickly as possible. So you need to balance up who and how you're going to decide to tackle these things. In terms of getting across to Stonewaters Bookstore, it's going to be pretty simple. They will be providing you with a car if you don't have access to it, or genuinely going through London. The tube might just be the better way. But the collection of you can decide how you want to approach it. I'll give you a bunch of names and exact details before you set off, but is there any questions you have about information that Nightingale might have before?
You said that they got attacked at midnight?
Midnight overnight. Midnight specifically, no, there was not a hard time listed, but there was an emergency services call placed just after midnight, around 1:30 in the morning, and the police responded quickly after that.
Sorry, last night or a couple nights ago?
This was this morning, last night. It was within the
gotcha.
last
1:30 this morning.
Also at 12:30. Sorry, so midnight 30.
12:30 this morning.
12:30 a.m. Correct.
And the person who was attacked owns the bookstore.
No, he is an employee. The person who was attacked is a Mr. Anderson, but the owner of the bookstore is a Miss Jackson.
Oh no.
Wait a second. Why was there an employee working at a bookstore at 12:30 at night? It's a bookstore. They close at 9.
Nightingale at this point shrugs and says, I'm afraid I don't have that information. That's the kind of thing that we'll want you to figure out. Is it something untoward, or is it just someone working late?
For the record, I realized that I asked that in my normal speaking voice. That is not what pudding sounds like.
Totally fine.
We'll get there eventually, but cool. All right, so an employee got attacked at some ungodly hour in the morning. Why the fuck were they there? Cool.
Yep, absolutely. So normally the business would open at 11 a.m. and you've arrived in the morning, so you'll probably arrive with half an hour shy before they would ideally like to open.
Right.
Oh, might be too late. I'd be inclined to have a poke around the library to see if there are any supernatural activity in this building. I'd be inclined to do some research before running out there.
You absolutely can do that. This is something where you'll need to be factoring in the time that you'll take. Or it's even something where you might potentially decide that it is within your resources to stay behind. Now, the only report that you have is that Mr. Anderson, as far as you're aware, was attacked by an invisible assailant. The Falcon details are light because the case has been referred to you as a result.
But just
Do we,
starting with the building itself. Knowing if there's
are we
supernatural
familiar
activity
with
there.
the bookshop? Do we know what the bookshop is? Have we heard of it before?
You can make a. I think you can make a base intelligence check here is probably just the best, unless you have a expert
Cool.
skill you'd like to argue. This is not.
Nope.
This is if you're from the area, you might have an argument. Lucy probably doesn't know this bookstore particularly well.
Not really that in the mall.
Ooh, yes. No, wait, no, hang on. Looking at the wrong thing. No,
No?
don't know. Never heard of it.
Okay.
Not really my jam. Not a lot of good art books.
No. Yeah. It's
Not one of the known design and art bookstores, so
It's-
I'm not really into it.
It's not a weird bookstore, from what you can tell.
Well, I know nothing about it because I
Yeah.
failed that role.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of the photography places,
Google
that
it.
you would know.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to wait to get outside the Folly because, but yes, you can do some initial research
Sorry.
as soon as you get.
I don't know that I can Google it ever. That's actually I don't know how that works for me.
That's a good point.
Sprites and that sort of thing. If they've used phones.
You can
people
use
who use
phones.
mobile phones and stuff. Yeah.
Okay,
As long as you don't
It's
do
just
magic
doing-
near it.
The kind of
Got
magic
it.
that depletes.
Cool. Well, that answers the question of
Yeah.
then I seem normal because I continue to be able to use a smartphone. Good
Yeah.
times.
We've established that you are grabbing sort of cups of drink and heating them. I think that you probably have a very short shelf life on your phones. They really seem to degrade way faster than is possible. Always
like
get
a
the
year out of
warranty.
It's everyone's things, these phones, they aren't made like they used to, and now Apple has to put longer life batteries in, and I sit there being like, have they done that yet? Because my still die real quick. Problem. Spent a lot of money on phones.
So Nightingale finishes off by saying, so get there, try and confirm whether this is indeed a Falcon case definitively. If it is, resolve the situation if possible and report back. I'm happy to advise. You have the resources of the Folly at your disposal. If you need to escalate the situation, you can always come back to speak to me.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
All right. If there's any final questions, let me know. Otherwise, a collection of you stand and go. I have one quick thing I want to say to Lucy, though. As you're strolling out the door, whether or not there is a final parting question that will get asked, I mentioned that you're not the only dog at the Folly. Toby really owns the roost here, and you're a lot bigger. The little ghost hunting dog has nothing compared to the ghost munching dog. How do you genuinely get along? So as you're like strolling out, this weathered, aged, beast of a dog, there is like a kind of yappy little mutt, I say with love, watching from down the hall, kind of.
I hope they get along. It'd be so cute if they were like, I just roll over and sniff his butt.
Here's
you know
the
those
thing.
videos of like the massive dogs playing with the tiny dog?
Just like, I think character complexity in a dog is pretty tough to come by. So I think I'm going to need to take this and say that we don't have a good relationship so that I have room to grow.
Yeah.
So I think Lucy's a real, like, kind of had that, like, leader of the pack driven in, like, protector, defense, and the dog is not in her gang. Like, I think is Civil Wit has been introduced as like as a partner, but I think she's a people dog, not a dog dog. So, and I think early on, unless is Toby a bit of like a stand up for himself kind of fella, or would he buckle?
I think that he
Small
buckles
dog.
immediately.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah,
slight actual
yeah.
pressure and darts
Yeah.
away.
I think Lucy does not get on with him particularly well at the moment, at least. This is a bit of like, she's got her people and she feels that this is Toby's territory. So she needs to escort her group in and out of here safely. So once we leave the room, she like walks in front, make sure Toby doesn't come near. Probably doesn't love Molly that much either. And then we'll escort
bet.
everyone out, making sure the gang stays together until we're safely back out on the street. Or if people fan out, we'll connect between everyone, making sure we're all safe.
You beat me to asking it, because I was going to say from down a long hallway, you spot and glower at Toby, getting him to dart away. Probably a couple of moments later, Molly happens to drift past. As a general note, does Lucy see the, you've said protector kind of thing. Do you read any presence of kind of magic as necessarily immediately hostile or risky? Because you have, according to what we talked about, is potentially.
No, not explicitly. I think I see them as, because I think as a dog, I don't know the difference between normal and magical as clearly. It's all just what it is, Like, I think I don't have a society I was brought up in where dragons aren't real. I don't know what a dragon is, It's just a thing that's over there under the bridge if it's there.
Yeah.
So I think I see it as an equal presence. It's the energy it puts out. I don't know the books as well, so I don't really know what Molly's vibe is. I think it was creepy.
Wretched.
If I'm remembering correctly.
Cautious. Yeah, it's not fantastic. Yeah, wears a very Victorian, like, kind of maid outfit, so it's a little.
If it's, I don't know. I'm just gonna assume. I don't know if it's a spoiler to say what her affinity is, because I did see it when I was like doing some research on what the different affinities were.
Let's
her
hold off that one. Let's hold off that one. Wretched. There we go. That's
Wretched.
Right.
Wretched vibes.
Wretched vibes.
She is very fond of Toby, though, I believe.
Very
yeah.
true. But maybe that extends to all animals. Anyway, two of you probably share a look. This isn't you haven't been sort of overtly hostile, but I can imagine you trying to hustle the party out relatively quickly.
Yeah.
So
I'm decidedly not paying attention and have reached into my backpack to pull out a packet of beef jerky, and I'm now eating that.
very fair.
2 for me, 1 for Lucy. Once we're outside and she's not paying attention to stuff anymore, because I'm aware of like
job.
Yeah.
I think I'm like, I've just innately I as a person, and also I want to say pudding, understands like a dog that is focused and like on.
She also just won't take it while doing things like.
And I think so it's like 1 for oh no, Lucy's not paying attention right now. All right, wait till we get outside. 2 for me, Lucy.
I think Lucy's probably got one of those like harness kind of things that just it isn't official, but it looks official. It's like black with like blue writing on it that's like working.
Yeah.
that has like a working dog, or something on it that implies a degree of like this dog has a job. This dog is on professional business. Although it just happens to be in like dark navy and bright and light blue, like police blue colors. It just happens to be.
I think I have, because I have like Jim gave me basically a doggy ballistic vest, which I think I had from my previous employment where I was a guard dog. So I think it is very official. It's not associated, but it probably says like Vanguard Security or something on the side. It's a bit busted up, but it could have been repaired by either people at the Folly or any of your characters. And I think like you said, very official looking and has a bit of like stay back. And when I'm on a case or something, I can wear that and definitely telegraphs.
It's like a do not interact working dog sort of thing.
For sure. So back out in the main area of the Folly or out in the courtyard itself, you can decide how you want to approach this. As I said, there will be a car at your disposal if you need to get across. None of you are taking the Jag, but there'll be a vehicle from the pool available. What's the plan? Do you want to do some research before you head off, Lewis? What's the...
I'd like to start in the Folly Library and just see if there's any case history around this building or, more likely this address. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't know how well the Folly Libraries and case records are indexed by location, but I guess we'll find out.
Son, don't you think that we should maybe go and talk to the shop owner first and let him get back to business if they possibly can? It's check a very beaten up Casio on his wrist. It's nearly going to be opening time for him, and we don't want to cost him any more business, do we?
Well, yes,
we can come back to the library straight after.
I just thought if we save some time by getting the research done first, it could, save some time in the long run.
When we're at the building, we'll know what kind of businesses are in the area, and we can give us more information for our research. And
from everything I've understood about the world we've come into, it's good to have at least some knowledge in your back pocket before you encounter it.
All right.
I'd feel a lot better, and I think by association you all would feel a lot better too. If there is some horrible history related to the building of terrible things and creatures that happened to us a long time ago, then we should know about it in advance.
I don't think the owner is going to be. I don't think the argument is going. That argument is going to work on the owner, and it might make it a little bit harder to ask questions of him. But your investigation. Settle into like a vinyl.
Pudding's
chair
halfway out the door.
tea.
By the way, Pudding's just like continued to walk because hasn't paid attention to this.
Pud.
Huh?
Oh, by
What?
all means, if you think you should go on ahead.
Well, I just figured, one, it's no offense, it's real boring, and I kind of need to keep moving because otherwise I'll fall asleep. Also, I've already been through like a quarter of my snacks, and I kind of need to run to Tesco's and get some more. And also, we just go and talk to them. If something weird's going on, we can find out what's happening, and then once we have an idea of what's happening, then we, you can stay here and research if you wanna, Mr. PC. Mr. Lewis, or and maybe myself and Mr. Oslo, and Lucy can go and have a chat and a gander at the bookshop, and we can come back and compare notes.
No objections.
I'm gonna.
Or I'll meet you there, or we could. Yes, let's.
Well,
let's touch base.
You got the car,
and circle back.
Yeah.
Well, let's just start our
I got my
inquiries
oyster, so we can just,
and then be in touch.
boogie.
Great.
I'm gonna rifle in one of the pockets of my large camera backpack and pull out like a bag of pig's ears and toss them over to Pudding, and kind of just jerk my head at Lucy. Lucy will keep you company. I'll stick here with PC Lewis.
Oh, if you're sure.
Pudding fully opens them, smells them, and goes, "Oh, Lucy's gonna love these."
Yeah, those are not sharing snacks. Those are Lucy's snacks.
Yeah, I know. I made the mistake once before, and it wasn't. Actually, it didn't taste as bad as you think it would, but I wouldn't recommend.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know that. Pudding.
Lucy,
I don't.
Okay. I'll get eyes on the two people settling in, wheel around, and follow Pudding.
Okay. Fantastic. So,
Just continually like breaking off bits of pig's ear, like snapping them and being like, here you go. Snapping them.
I'd also
here you go.
imagine because putting your quite are you reasonably dexterous? Was that where some of your points went, or
Yeah.
yeah, I think
I'm pretty dexterous. I'm pretty athletic.
I was gonna say I think once because given you're a bit supernatural and I'm non-human, I don't think we move through the city when we're the duo like the others would. I think we turn the corner and start like clearing, like hauling ass on foot.
Yeah.
Like clearing hurdles and things, darting down side alleys, avoiding notice, and making our way like I think we can move faster on the tube than through a car. Then we
Yeah.
like get off a station.
I think
early and
there's
just
probably like
bolt.
there's a mixture of knowing the city because I've also got the knowledge, so I know the city quite well. So I think there is an element of like, all right, for this leg, tube's quickest. Let's go home. We need to go like X number of blocks. But once we're here, you'd think going an extra stop would be quicker because it gets you closer, but it isn't because of the peak hour. So we're gonna get off here and then loop through like a garden or whatever to like. So yeah. I think it's a mixture of like we just move the way that makes the most sense, and it is a complete like we jump on a bus at one point, like go a couple of stops, you know, like it just is whatever gets us there quickest, and it's almost like an innate like because of the time it is right now, this bus is pulling up at this second. We jump on this, go 2 stops. It'll save us a bit of walking, and then like. But like you wouldn't necessarily do that if the bus wasn't literally about to arrive. So it's sort of like a weird mix of like, yeah, and now if we jump downstairs, we'll catch the tube, it'll be quicker, etc. So yeah, I love it. We just kind of do this weird mishmash.
Lucy has a really frantic energy as we're going through that. It's the dog like waiting at the like for the race. Like whenever we're on a bus, it's at the front door, like pacing a little bit, and then as soon as it opens, just bolts through.
Yeah.
You also see a bit of the like I am a criminal as my background, like that element of
love
her
this.
that on training, like if someone tries to get on the bus before me, I will shoulder their ass out of the way and take a seat. Like get out of my face, dude.
Oh yeah, and like for the record, Pudding fully takes advantage of that. Like you shoulder someone out the way and Pudding just goes, excuse me, and just like snucks in behind you and then like sits down, and as soon as we're seated, immediately just starts feeding you pig's ears. He's like, you're the best. This is great. Let's go.
I refuse to let us tap on at any of the bus services. We are stealing fare, to be clear.
So
I mean, if we're only going like a single stop, it's almost like, oh, we're going, like a block. If that, no one's gonna check. Sure.
Yeah.
So, the collection of you basically have split up. 2 of you, the most chaotic characters you possibly could be going to speak to witnesses and things, are heading straight towards all of the social roles.
The other one's an elf.
The other one shouldn't. I tease, of course.
Excuse me. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who took a social skill.
Correct. We've been through this.
I completely agree.
That's funny.
What is delightful is usually I'd play like a stealthy character. I made the decision to not take stealth because I'm like, fire, real fucking noticeable. So like it's not that people don't pay attention to me because like I'm stealthy. It's just like I exist.
Yeah.
And I think I am noticeable when I'm like being frantic, but it's like, oh, this is someone who you'd find, you know, down around Camden markets.
Yeah, you're adorable and interesting and people like you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
also warm.
Yeah, a friendly person, and possibly exactly someone who's going to be able to get the witness to open up. We will jump across the 2 of you.
I've got locksmithing.
Locksmithing people. It's very easy. But first of all, what we're going to do is I want to quickly dive across. We won't resolve your roles yet, but I just want to get a few things out. I'm mostly going to suggest common skills. If you have a professional one that you think is more applicable, please feel free to tell me. I think a research here is going to be the applicable from you, Lewis.
Believe you are correct.
Now, I can see you going to the magical library or the non-magical library.
I think I'm more thinking of, I'm not sure which library it is, but like the case files. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I can take the other library.
magical
The reason I stayed is
incidents?
I've also got research. So whichever one you don't take, I can take the other.
but like
what magical incidents has happened in that block?
basically, is this are you going into the records of like the Folly, or are you jumping on Holmes? Equivalent, obviously, with you probably don't have the authority to be able to go through Holmes without a supervisor. But
No, yeah.
but you doing your own research through mundane means.
Yeah, that's true. Didn't think of that. What's your research like, Buttons?
60. I took research and observation.
Okay. Well, yeah, if it's gonna be research regardless. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. If you want to do the Follies historical case files about Falcon incidents, and I could, quickly flick through homes to see all the regular crimes that took place and look for Falcon elements.
All right, fantastic. So the two of you dive in and start going through stuff. I'll get you both to make your research rolls.
Then I shall do so with a regular success.
Regular success on.
But I will spend luck for this.
Okay.
6 points.
All right,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. So with 2 successes, we'll come back and I'll give you exactly what you found in a minute. But first of all, let's jump across to Covent Gardens. Thank you, Art, for the pronunciation guide. And jump in. So your roundabout route.
I mean, I've spent enough time in London to know like some of it, and it is never going to be a sad thing when I get to like pronounce London names or English things.
Fair
For
enough.
anyone who knows, the train that takes you from Heathrow Airport into London has a very funny like line name.
Yes.
Or like a terminus in that direction, and it is the thing that after 24 hours of no sleep, if I get on that train, I lose my goddamn mind every time I hear the announcement. It is the funniest thing in the world to me.
Perfect. But you arrive without too much difficulty, despite taking a relatively circuitous route. Covent Gardens. So you will arrive just before 11, which is when they would ideally like to open stuff back up. So if you hustle, you might be able to speak to Miss Jackson before they really like to get the shop back into operation. You are not in the covered part of Covent Gardens, but you are nearby enough that this is still an incredibly busy area with lots of foot traffic. It's kind of like a plaza situation where, although there technically is a road that winds through, a lot of people are kind of crossing all the time, and there's a little bit of sort of pseudo town square happening relatively nearby. There's all kinds of shops around you, and you, based on the report that you are given, know that the witness, Mr. Anderson, is currently not being detained, but is waiting politely down the road at a local coffee shop called the Cappuccino Lounge, just up the road from Stonewater's Bookshop. He is in the company of a police officer there who is just staying with him until he's ready to speak to somebody from the Falcon unit. You come into the area and you've kind of got a little bit of a choice to make here. You can start trying to get a lie of the land, literally just getting vibe as you go through. You could go to one of the 2 directions to speak to a witness. Either speak to witness is in the Cappuccino Lounge. The owner of the bookstore is in the bookstore. As to what you want to do in terms of like sensing vestigia or anything like that, just a little bit of context for folks. You need to get pretty close. If there is something that you can detect from, if there is a building and you want to detect something inside the building, you need to get into the building. Typically, inside the books, characters will get their faces right up in front of something, often looking quite bizarre, which means that you sometimes need to be able to get like a sort of distraction happening so that you can properly have a little sense vestigia moment.
Or be a dog who sniffing things up really close is kind of just what happens.
What you do. It's going to be really convenient.
What I was going to suggest was putting, if you can let me into the bookstore and just I explain what I'm going to go and start sniffing around and getting a sense of what's happening if you want to go do interviews.
Yeah, I mean, I can also just like talk to the owner of the bookstore while you do that.
Sure.
Because it sounds like this employee is gonna hang out. Is comfortable for the time being. And also like out of the 2 of them, the owner's gonna want to open that bookstore quickly.
Yeah.
So we can get some conversation happening, and then she will probably want to end the conversation so she can open the bookstore, and then we can go and have a chat to what's his face.
Sounds good.
Potentially. So yeah, bookstore owner first, so that Lucy can have a sniff.
Schnorf.
Sniff.
Perfect. So you head straight across to the bookstore. It's a nice middle of the road kind of chain. It is very much that. It's putting forward that vibe that's a few years old now, but that kind of clean coffee shop, main street bookstore. This isn't like trying to peddle itself as like an occult or bizarre place. It's nice. This is a family space. The shutters are currently down, and there is a sign that says "We'll be back soon." Although the little hands on it are just pointed to 12. Kind of either not really denoting anything. You get there and have a rasp on the door. There's silence for a few seconds, and then you see
Miss Jackson?
Call her name. A woman's face appears. She's got a dark complexion and like her face is set in a frown. She looks stressed. She sees you for a second. Eyes kind of flicks across. You don't have any overt police marking or anything like that.
Have we been given anything to show that we're like working? Because I would just like go, here's the thing.
Absolutely.
It's me.
You have
We're
a
here.
Folly liaison officer card, so you have a little thing that you can show like why you're here. So if you immediately present things, she goes,
Sorry, it's called the Folly Liaison Officer.
I think there is the Folly liaison card. I threw in the officer at the end there. I can get you the exact thing so that you
Just
can
because it's
acronym
very
it.
fun that it's like, excuse me, let me introduce you to my friend Flo.
Yeah, that is quite funny. So you present your card. You see the question rise unbidden to her lips, but you answer it before. Nods, opens the door, and ushers you in. As soon as you walk through, you can see the bookstore properly. It's an old building. It's quite nice. There is a big like ornate dome on the top, one of those like old building sort of things, and a staircase leading down into the basement, quite a tight spiral one. You can see all kinds of standard stuff. There's a big children's section on the top floor, quite near the
My favorite. It's so colorful.
Exactly.
I love me like a colorful area of a bookshop. There's usually like cartoon children looking happily at stars. It's nice.
I don't know if Bluey does books as well as the show, but I know it's been quite a cultural hit, so I can imagine a Bluey like cardboard cutout or something like that.
I launch.
Straight
Kill.
No.
Kill.
No.
I do not.
Don't eat the
I know what
blue
a
dog. It's
cartoon
a
is.
cute one.
So Ms. Jackson appears to be relatively fine with you stepping in, shuts the door, spots you, Lucy, and does a little like nice to see a dog, doesn't seem too concerned about having it in the bookstore, goes to pat, stops, shoots a questioning look towards you.
I briefly look at Lucy as like because this is not my dog, so I'm just like,
yeah, I'm not doing social things in this one, so I'm ignoring her and pushing my way into the building. I'm immediately sniffing around the area and beginning to identify like regular scents, i.e. staff members, and then following the trail of what I know to the employee heading towards the basement. I'll disregard her entirely.
She does a little bit of as you start to wander off properly, but
Lucy's this Lucy, she's part of the team. She's working, so she's a friendly dog, but just similar to any working dog, just
okay.
when if she's relaxed a bit and done her stuff, you can give her a scritch on the way out, but just while she's working, if you don't mind.
Sure, that's fine. Thanks for coming so quickly. I was a little worried I wouldn't be able to open in time.
Oh no, we absolutely want to make sure you get your place open. I know it's business has been, any small business has been a difficult time over the last few years, so of course we want to make sure that you can get yourself open again. Just we got a couple of questions to understand what happened.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yes. Anything I can do to clear things up? Really, I've got a lot I'm going to need to do. Kind of rubs at her forehead for a second. I'm going to need to get new staff, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. What do you need to know? I don't know what's already been reported I gave a statement already.
Oh, Did we get that statement?
Yeah, this is purely the surface level stuff where it was like,
Right.
you know that she was not present. She came as soon as she heard, and doesn't know what's happened, basically.
Okay.
Is she in the statement? Does she suggest that does she suggest that she doesn't believe her employee, like an invisible assailant and all of that?
The statement is short, so you don't get that level of subtlety. It's not the kind of thing that would be incorporated in it. But if she was really going along and trying to reinforce the idea of an invisible assailant, that would probably get included in the statement. It's a weird thing to say. So you get the impression that she probably doesn't.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna ask her to sort of like, in her own words, describe like what happened when she arrived. Just like to give a sort of description of not necessarily like what the employee said, but like what she was observing, like essentially what happened from the point she arrived, you know. And
sure.
yeah.
Yep. So she basically says, well, I wasn't working, as I mentioned. I was at home asleep when the incident happened. At least what I understand it to be. The first thing I know about it is I get a call from the emergency services saying there's been an incident. I got over as quickly as I could. I heard that that's Warwick Anderson. Warwick had been involved. He'd been involved in some kind of disturbance. He said he'd been attacked. When I got there, that's when he started going on about ghosts and aliens and all the rest of it. So I kind of... Anyway, he was very agitated. He said some fairly hurtful things, and which he was distressed. I understand that. But he made it very clear that he doesn't want to work here anymore. So I'm currently trying to plan how to sort out all of that.
I mean, I'm sorry. That sounds like quite a stressful experience. Come in the middle of the night to someone. Well, it's very big of you to understand his state of mind. But it's still hurtful when people say hurtful things. So I'm sorry to hear that. Is your bookshop open 24 hours, or was Mr. Anderson here sort of late doing something specific?
No, he was here working late, all paid and above board, overtime and the rest of it. We're doing a major move of a couple of sections, so he was working late trying to sort all of that out. As this is being said, you are on the scent, on the trail. You're ghost hunting, Lucy. So I'd like to get a quick roll from you, I think.
Yeah.
Can we? I mean, are you going initially for a sense vestigia, or are you going just to lie of the land first of all?
I think what I'd start off with is the only person who saw this thing was Anderson, and he was working here by himself. I'd like to roll a track check to see if there was anyone else in the building that night. So was it just him moving, and his general movements? Was he just going back and forth from the two rooms doing work, or was he, having a smoke break? Kind of get a sense of what he was doing last night. That'd be my first roll.
Sure. That sounds fantastic. Make a track check for me.
Okay, so I have 16 the skill. It's a special one for a special dog. You. That doesn't look good.
No.
Ooh, that does not look good at all.
What's the fumble mechanic in this game, Jim?
Fumbles?
Let's find out.
Is there fumbles?
I'm gonna have to double check just to make sure, but I believe that there is. In the meantime, you go towards the heavy spiral staircase, planning to head down, while the conversation continues. Is there anything you want to ask to Ms. Jackson? Her first name is Saffron, just because it's relevant and it won't come up organically, but why not mention it? I am listening to what you have to say. I'm just going to be checking a rule reference here as we go.
Yeah.
I just found the fumble. Only 100 is a fumble.
I thought
There
it
you
was
go.
different, so you are safe. Would you like to anti-luck?
Yeah.
Oh,
Add
but
a
if
point
you
of
are
luck to.
if you're impaired, then a roll of 90 or higher is a fumble.
Oh, cool.
Excellent.
I was actually going to ask what sections they were moving.
It's a kind of a, we move one, bounce it around. It's mostly, the start of it was the children's section. We have a story time event where we invite local families to come in, bring their kids and things like that. And it was downstairs, she gestures towards the spiral staircase, which if you had rolled a fumble, Lucy, I was going to have you face plant down. It's not a particularly friendly staircase. Wasn't very easy for people to get down with strollers and prams. So we moved the children's section up, and that meant we had to move the cookbooks down, and that meant we needed to move the photography books. I can see immedely Button's ears pricking up from across the...
from across town.
I hear something. We need to move. So it's been a convoluted kind of several stage process.
Do you happen to know? Obviously, I'll we're gonna go and have a chat to Mr. Anderson himself. Do you know where Mr. Anderson was? Was he downstairs when this happened, or was he upstairs? What was he doing? Do you know?
He was trying to finish off the mobilization of the so the food's moving across the photography books and trying to set up the cookbook stand. The cookbooks are a major mover for us at the minute. But
a lot of people getting into home cooking.
Now it's a mess down there, so I can't really say. She leaves that sentence hanging. I'll jump across. Lucy, you have time while this conversation happens. So just to give you a lie of the land in particular, you do get to see the rest of the place. I describe the top floor, you get down to the bottom. It is much as before, a basement level. Now it's very nicely done. Basement screams dingy and terrible usually when you're in any scenario with an investigator. This is really nicely put together. There are rows of books all along the way, but something quite bad has clearly happened. You can see the cookbook section, and it is about 2/3 done, and then there are scattered all around it, just heaps and heaps of books, all kinds, tossed in like a haphazard pattern all around the base of the cookbook section. The shelves nearby have various gaps on them. With a failed track roll at this stage, you're not able to kind of determine any pattern explicitly. You can also see the books brush backwards away from the main shelves towards a secondary counter, a till, at the rear of the basement. And you can see quite near to that, there is actually a blood stain on the ground.
Okay. I think it's interesting. Like you're saying, dingy, and a lot of basements read as dingy and stuff to investigators. I feel like the dog's lens, a lot of like the natural spooky and things are gone. So I think down here, I don't even probably factor in the disarray too much. It's probably just immediately based on the scent of the blood probably draws my immediate interest. And then from there, it'll be any vestigia that I can get a sense for. So while the conversation upstairs is happening, I'm moving my way through the whole thing, identifying the blood. And then also because I think much harder to hide blood and things from a dog who can smell it rather than just throwing books over it. I'm then, if it's any of it goes under shelves or anything, I'm trying to get a real lay of where any injuries happened. And yeah, like I said, then vestigia. I'm happy to sit on that for a while.
I'll get you to make the roll now and we'll resolve it in a bit. Basically, you want to go the mundane route of searching for blood, or you want to do the vestigia thing? Basically, you can have. I think
vestigia is probably the more relevant one, so I'll roll for that, which I have a 60 in.
Okay.
Let's roll under a 99. 64. I can spend 4 points of luck for that.
4 points of luck. That seems worth it. Okay, fantastic. We'll jump back across and we'll resolve the conversation. But first, lest we leave them for quite too long, let's get PC, Lewis, and Barton moving slowly back in the direction. So we're going to jump across and we are going to just resolve what is happening over there. You both made your rolls and you both lucked to a success at the very least.
Well, I lucked.
Yes, you lucked natural
PC
from,
Lewis is simply capable.
Okay, fantastic. Let's start with you, Button. What does Button's research style look like? You are going into like the occult library of the Folly. You've been granted permission. You're one of the associated agents. But this is like, these are secrets. People fought and died for this. It's not the really hardcore stuff. They keep that somewhere else.
I mean, that's fine. I'm allowed to be here. Barton's a big man. Like he's tall and large, and not dexterous at all. So he does this slowly and carefully, moving. And this is physical firearm, right? So he's kind of slowly and carefully, almost ploddingly, going through the aisles, through the boxes. But it is methodical.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
By the numbers. He'd rather do it right and not finish it than to kind of haphazardly go through everything and leave it in a state. So he's methodically, slowly, ploddingly going through the case files. Being very careful not to tip anything over with his not insignificant bulk.
I love the image of the sort of very inappropriate character to a library going through it. It's not quite Ned Stark reading the book at the end of season 1 of Game of Thrones, but there's a similar vibe.
But it's not far.
I'm
a constitution strength character, not a dexterity character.
So here's the vibe that you get. Interestingly, there is absolutely zip listed about this building from a magical perspective.
Huh.
Everything that has sort of a seeped magical presence in it tends to have been pretty well and truly tracked over the years. The Folly are aware, and they get records and reports, and even if they don't find it, they can put together rumors and sort of project out anticipation. There is nothing here at all. Now, that doesn't mean there is no possibility of anything. One of the big reasons the Folly is being expanded because new stuff is popping up and new arrivals are happening. But there is no history of any magical presence in this place whatsoever. You were able to definitively rule that out. So it's a negative answer, but at least you can cross that section off.
Absolutely. Not a known location for magical hijinks.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I'm going to go get another copper.
Would just because Alex is looking at the mundane section, would they have hit anything looking, if this is under the same scope, either of the names that we've gotten of the witness or the owner, do those have any like prior history, like police records, or they have been involved in anything strange?
Good point. Barton, you were looking in the magical section.
I was looking in the Folly.
Oh,
Folly
sorry.
archives,
In that case, then have they gotten any magic? They haven't hit any magical stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes and no. Neither of them appear to pop up in any way. Also, like
not the long line of Anderson wizards or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the physical filing system is, I think, a little bit different to navigate, where it's
This isn't Warwick Le Sorcier or something like that. It's
worth asking. It'd be awkward if it was.
Oh, absolutely. No, no history here whatsoever that you can come up with from a magical perspective.
Warwick the Saucy.
Yeah. Works in the kitchen.
Lewis, in the mundane files, you go through Holmes and you have a pretty good look. Let me think exactly what you would get up. You got a regular success, right?
A regular success, which I think you'll find is plenty. Yeah.
Okay.
And sure enough, yeah, I do the building and I do the names of the witnesses that we know about.
Sure.
In the Holmes 2 database.
I want to give you one last sort of split point of what information you might get, which would be: are you looking more into the criminal side of things, or are you looking more into just the sort of general information about all of this type of things? Are you going to do a dive and see if there was any crime? You get the option to do, was this place ever a crime scene, or to do background checks on the individuals there, kind of.
No, more just were they involved in incidents rather than like really doing a deep dive.
Okay, so
well, I mean, but if I've got time.
You may decide to spend longer, but at a surface level, building was purchased a couple of years ago by Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson does not appear to have any criminal background whatsoever, nor
She owns the
does... Pardon me?
building. She owns the building.
She owns the store. She's purchased
Okay.
the right to put. This is a
business.
hole in my business knowledge. She has.
It's
got
probably
that location
likely
locked in.
that she has. She
has a
probably doesn't
long-term
own the
lease.
building. She probably has like a 20-year lease.
Yeah.
Owns the business.
She owns
with
the
a
business.
long-term
Yep.
lease. Okay, great.
It's an old building. It's been there for a while. So she's the latest occupant. Nothing untowardly suspicious about the last couple of owners that you can find. No evidence of any criminal activity from her. No evidence of any criminal activity from Warwick. You do find a couple of references that apparently once he got a complaint raised against him because apparently he's quite weird, but in a harmless kind of way.
What was that about? Or are you making this up?
No, he
Go for
appears
it.
to be a big conspiracy theorist head, and he was making a nuisance of himself at a council meeting one time.
Oh,
And, you
and
know,
the police had to be. And the police had to be called.
Somebody afterwards decided to make a statement about it,
Okay.
and it was just deemed that he was basically just a bit loud, and
Gotcha.
the nature of the complaint was not serious enough to warrant any further investigation.
I see. What was his name again?
Warwick Anderson.
Warwick Anderson. Thank you.
Weird
Made
guy,
us
Warwick.
think at a council meeting.
Yeah.
As we all do these days.
Yeah.
And so it's a politically engaged time. He's just being a conscientious citizen. So that's what you get from the surface level. If you jump in a car now and drive, instead of taking a bus, then a train, then a stop at Tesco's, then a different bus, stop at a different Tesco's, you could probably get there before too long.
That sounds reasonable.
You say that,
Made up.
Jim, but it's London we're talking
traffic.
about. There's no guarantee that's actually true.
Make an extreme luck roll. We don't have but you do, yeah, easy.
Make
So
a navigate roll.
yeah.
The point of the navigate,
If
get
you-
around quickly.
If you were rushing, but at this point it's just that you head
That's
over. and
fine.
You will
All right.
walk in, yeah.
After, reuniting with Barton and confirming that neither of us found much of anything,
Yeah.
we will now go actually take the quest.
Yeah, I know. I do hate to
I
say,
don't
like,
say I told you so.
well, I do hate to say, you both find nothing. What you do is you rule things out.
Yes.
That's
I will
true.
tell you definitively, no magical history on the building, no criminal history on any of the staff or the owners. This is one of those things, I think you got a success, so I don't want you to necessarily get too concerned. The event is more, you now know that this guy is a bit off. The disturbance was he just got, like, you know, he voiced a loud opinion and someone took offense. It is not
Very
necessarily
British.
a great mystery or anything. It's the kind of thing that you as a police officer we would expect to see pop up in a lot of people's backgrounds.
Of course. And indeed, most police work is ruling things out,
Mhm.
not chasing down clues, looking for more clues, but
Absolutely.
ruling out what you've already got. So you're welcome.
Jumping back across to the gang in the bookstore, any final words that you want to say to Miss Jackson?
No, I think like from what it sounds like she wasn't particularly. I think I probably would go with maybe getting a vibe from her of like whether this is out of character for Warwick or not. Like if trying to kind of get a vibe of like, is this, I'm not suggesting that you should believe in ghosts, but like, is this something that is unsurprising from this man, or is it like a surprise that he's brought this up and like is, do you think there's something else that he's trying to hide?
I'll get you to make a social roll here because basically she She seemed just tense about the whole thing, and is
Yeah.
once like speculation is an extra level of kind of.
Yeah, just I think trying to read vibes at this point. Like I don't entirely know how. 57 under 60, so that's a success.
She thinks for a second, and she says, "Look, Warwick's a bit. He's an intolerable hipster, and he can be a huge pain if you get him talking about whatever podcast is most recently. But the one thing I'll say, one of the things he's intolerably hipster about is loving books. He really cares about them, and he's always been a fantastic employee, somebody who knows the filing and organizational system back to front. I told you he was working overnight. I proposed that we shut down for a little while to enable this, and he was keen to do it all in a burst. He's someone passionate. The books down there, some of them are broken. They've fallen, they've been damaged. This is out of character for him. Yes, I am surprised by it. I don't know what happened. My best guess is he was concussed. I don't know. Maybe he's got something happening at home. I can't tell though, because all of our security camera footage is broken.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It was when was the last time your system was checked? Was it?
We don't do super regular checks. We kind of rely on. There's always staff presence. We don't have a big problem with shoplifting here, and whenever we do check the cameras, it's relatively quick. But coming in, they were busted up. It seems they'd broken entirely. I couldn't get any activity out of them.
Oh, as in you say busted up, as in that the cameras themselves were damaged, or just that there wasn't any recording?
Completely, they don't respond to any power. Here, so she'll take you and sort of give you a brief rundown of the situation. I'll get you to make one more roll this time. I think probably here a observation roll, or I could also see a research roll.
I mean, I'll take observation.
Tech is a skill. I'm going to give the base skill variance and not because I know professional skills suggest amount, and obviously if you have the professional angle on it, you'll be able to get a base value of information plus more.
I'll take observation because I'm more observant than I am researchy. It's a 13, so that's a hard.
Okay. So on a hard success, you'll be able to figure out that they do have cameras. The ones downstairs in the basement have both been disabled by what you would assume is behavior consistent with a powerful burst of some kind of magic. When you open them up, you'll be able to find little sanded aspects of them where the electronics have fried. An area of exactly why that happens is under hot debate at the Folly itself, but without the tech skill, you're not going to be able to get in more detail beyond just, yes, this appears to be regular success, this appears to be a magical related thing. Hard success, it's the basement.
On a hard success, can you also get the time that it happened? Was this midnight on the dot?
Unfortunately, there's no server-side backup or anything like that, so they've lost all of their video footage up to the last time that there would have been a change set up. It tries, and there's because it's a physical destruction. Yeah, it's very hard to get any more at that.
But the camera, they've got cameras in the front door and stuff that are working.
Yeah, they are still working.
And I'm going to assume that there was no, we can confirm that there was no one who, entered.
Absolutely. Yes, you can actually confirm that when the emergency services arrived, they had to break in because the doors were locked to get through.
Cool. So can confirm no, mundane entry through the standard, who knows? Some basements still have windows because of the way goddamn London works, but I'm going to assume this one is if they have windows, it's relatively barred and small.
Yeah, small. Yeah, one of those ones letting in a little bit of light, but nothing major.
Cool. I don't think I have any more questions for Mr. Jackson. I'll say thank you very much for your time. I hope that we may if it's all right with you, drop back in to ask a couple more questions. Obviously, when it's when you're available, we wouldn't want to hinder your business any further.
So I can clean up now, though. I'm good to.
Oh, you mean the what?
Downstairs, the blood, the books. I can to open up. I'll need to.
Oh, I see. What's the time?
It's past 11 now. You've been chatting for a bit. Still not long enough that she seems distressed, but you are. Yeah.
She's not opening up again today, regardless. They've got like a day of cleaning at least, right?
I think she's wanting to open.
She's going to try.
She's got blood on the floor.
Yeah, there is. So to be clear, not
There's
an
no
pool of
world.
blood. There is a. It's from. You'll learn shortly.
Yeah.
Warwick got cut in the head, and there's a smattering of blood on the ground.
Yeah, it's
they're
not
going to
like
clean that up, and they're going to pile a bunch of books away. Whether or not she can get through it all, you get a very entrepreneurial spirit from her. She is going
Good
to
for her.
try.
You can't clean Vestigia away, can you? It's not a thing that you can just like scrub and it fucks off. Like that stuff's there.
It fades, and it can fade pretty quickly once the actual event's done. But yeah, it sticks around for a bit.
And some entities and or events can suck the vestigia out of an area. But even then, that leaves a trace because everywhere's got background vestigia. And if you find a place with absolutely no vestigia, then that's also suspicious.
That's also
Yeah, it's
weird.
fine.
It's
I mean, I
weird
would
in a
say-
different way.
I would say at this point, like we kind of have like Lucy's had a sniff around.
Lucy's about
I mean,
to get the vestigia also context in a second, but yeah.
Ooh.
yeah, I was actually gonna say like just because Lucy can't communicate this, because none of us have mind reading, I was potentially might ask for the like 5 extra minutes of your time before you open, like before you go downstairs, if I might also have a look downstairs. But like as soon as we're done down there, yes, absolutely, go ham, clean it, whatever. But if I could beg 5 minutes of your time extra to go and check it myself, just if that would be just so I can see it, so that I have the context.
She huffs a little bit, but will acquiesces. If you want to do your own rolls and tests down here, you're going to need longer. But so this is just you have the context and can speak to things that are down there.
Yeah, and like if it's possible for me to, because I've got pretty high sense vestigia, like more specifically, Lucy's the one who succeeded, but unlike a human character, cannot tell us what she smells. So
What is it?
yeah,
something
so
in the
if
old
it's
well.
if it's possible for essentially me, if you'll allow it, Jim, essentially me to piggyback on to the success to just be able to communicate, hey, this is what the actual vestigia context, the smells and sounds are.
I hear what you mean. Yes, they're definitely.
It's purely nothing more than what Lucy is getting. It's just so that someone can communicate if that makes sense.
Across to
Eat the evidence.
Lucy then. You succeeded on your check. So let's quickly go through that. What does it look like when you sense vestigia? Because even though it is you just kind of are smelling and snuffling and stuff, there is a deeper level of it is invisible to a lot of people and a lot of animals too by default.
Yeah, so what Jackson was just saying, right, is that there's like ambient vestigia all throughout the world.
200 milliyaps.
There you go. I'd like to propose that the yaps, they're being a reference to Toby, I'm imagining. I'd like to propose that dogs kind of and animals probably have a sense of it. That's why cats spook. That's why animals avoid the weather. So I think I'm kind of always aware of it. There's a level of smelling, but I think when I get a particularly strong waft of it, it's a freeze up. Definitely don't rely on eyes as much as nose and the others, and then just kind of take it all in as I hone in on it and then slowly puzzle it out, detect what's weird, and then focus in on it, slowly stepping forward, until I can bury my nose in whatever it is. And that's also how I pointed out to others. So if I find something as Pudding comes down the stairs, they'd see me pointing it out really clearly and will be able to hone in and find it quickly.
Absolutely. Well, this works perfectly because as you start to look through the area, first of all, you have you smell blood, you smell the various bits, the books, and there's nothing, but then you get that hint, something else, an awareness, and as you look more into it, very apt that you used smell because this vestigia comes across as largely a scent. You are hit immediately by an overwhelming wave of meat, of gore and of offal and of just heavy butcher shop blood. You have a good nose. You know this kind of stuff. This is fresh blood. This is animal blood. And you also suddenly feel your hackles rise up. You had a bit of a rough time on the streets for a while, and you know through the sort of connections of the kind of animal world that there's things like dog baiting and stuff like that, and fights between. You suddenly feel like, I don't know whether Lucy would have ever been in a ring or something like that. You suddenly feel like you're fighting another animal. You get a sense of animals in panic, of blood, of battle.
Do I get a sense of, because I think like a lot of that is appealing to dogs, a lot of the offal and butcher shop and things, but do I get a sense of like, I am prey, this is predator, like whatever this thing is, a stalker, like a hunter, like, or do I get a sense of, do I catch this and would this be something I would want to pursue?
Good question.
Like, I've got the scent and now I'll track it to its end.
You get... So I would say this is sort of leaning into the fact that this is sort of the scent aspect from you. It's not appealing. There is a layer to this, which is, this is not a food situation. This is steeped. The vestigia of this place is steeped in the blood of animals. It is not fun. Not even hanging outside the back of a butcher's shop hoping for scraps fun.
It's more like abattoir than butcher shop.
Yeah. It's outside of too much human here. Not enough not enough sort of natural aspect to it. So prey and predator, you unfortunately don't get much of a sense of personhood at this point. It is more ambient, and in terms of pointing, it feels around you. There's no it's the building. It's this place. It's everywhere. It overpowers the blood on the floor of that tiny skerrick, which will soon be cleaned off. Before long.
Well, I think the way it's communicated then when Pudding comes down the stairs is Lucy's perfectly still, unable to identify, and then we'll let out a single bark and then circle the whole area, attempting to hone in on it. What I'm trying to communicate is it's the building that was here before this, is my suspicion. Like whatever existed before the library, the bookshop came in, if it was a butcher or something else, like it's in the bones of the building itself.
That's perfect. So you spot that Lucy is darting about the actual, well, not darting, but like gives that single heavy bark. I merely want to talk about converting from yaps to like Calvin or something like that. There's going to be a conversion guide for units. But you get a sense, and once it's sort of denoted
Luckily,
to
I'm
you,
not. I will be versed only in the language of Lucy's. I don't know.
We got a new
Tony,
scale.
so
We're making a new scale.
yeah, it's essentially like, if you've been brought up with Celsius, well done, you know Celsius. If you've been brought up with Fahrenheit, well done, you know Fahrenheit. Some people know both, but those people are wizards.
So you, as a result, effectively it's pointed out to you. You have an awareness. You get an initial impression of that same thing, less detail, but you can identify it and speak to it.
Enough to be able to communicate with the other people, with the other humans in the party. Hey, Lucy the Wonder Dog found a thing.
Yeah.
And for that, will sort of when it's clear that Lucy is happy to like move away from this place, or like be kind of ushered out with pig's ears, and we get a little bit up the stairs, I'll give Lucy a big ruffle behind the ears and some scritches, and instead of like a piece of the pig's ear, like a whole pig's ear. I'm gonna like do the thing where you get down, like crouch down, so that you're sort of like face to face with good dog, and you go, "Hooja, good dog. The nice lady wants to give you a little bit of a scritch on the way out, so you're gonna let her give a tiny scritch. I promise she won't get a lot of time, but give her a little scritch time, okay? You're gonna be a good dog."
I'm very happy to entertain the woman on the way out, and then happily sit and work through my reward as the others arrive.
Perfect.
I'll also like I I have a feeling that this backpack is probably too small for the amount of things that I would like to have in it. So just because it's funny to me how like the concept, it's not an actual magical backpack. I want to be clear. It is a normal fucking backpack. But the hilarity of being able to like pull stuff out that obviously packs down quite small, but you're like, how the fuck did you fit that in a backpack? Can I pull out like a small like plastic sided like plastic undersided sort of like essentially like a small picnic mat, but only like sort of lap sized or maybe a little bit bigger than that, and pop it down on the pavement outside for Lucy so she has something to sit on so that her bum doesn't get wet.
Yep.
It's miserable and rainy.
Thank God.
For sure. Yep. No,
Yeah.
perfect.
Folly just like pulls a thing out of a bag and then just lays out a little picnic or like little dog mat for Lucy on the sidewalk while she's eating her pig's ear. And then when she's done and gets up, I'll like shake it off and roll it up and just like slot it back into one of the many pockets this backpack has. Somehow it's not magic, but it looks like it is.
100%. No, perfect.
We've all had that one backpack that's not magic but feels like it is, and you spend the rest of your life trying to find that backpack again.
Yeah, this is definitely like a backpack that's like it's worn but not like it's not gonna like wear through, but it's definitely like I've had it for a while, and probably for that reason where I'm like, I don't know where I found this. Maybe it is like
Maybe
one
it
of
is
those not magical but like sold to me in a shop that I've never been able to find again, and so it's probably closed down, but my brain goes, but maybe magic.
So the two of you finish up and then head outside. You will soon meet the others, but first, as the two of you arrive, PC Lewis and Oslo, you come in, get into Convent Gardens and start walking down. You can see the bookshop before long and spot all the same stuff that I've described already. What you also see as you are arriving, though, is come in past the Cappuccino Lounge, the coffee shop where you know that you're meant to be, and you see a Sikh police officer outside. This is somebody that you might recognize, PC Lewis. This is PC. I've immediately lost the name that I had in one moment. PC Carmen Singh, and he is kind of looking around a little like tense, spotting the two of you. You are in clothes and have like enough on you. I will say, Lewis, that you can be identified as police, or he might have spotted you around. Makes a beeline straight towards the two of you and says, "You're here. You two are. You're here for the." He's inside. He's getting real antsy.
Oh, so our other the contact from the Folly hasn't spoken to Mr. Anderson yet.
No, he's 8th. They're not teas, they're herbal tinctures or something. He's been very specific about it. You walk back towards the coffee shop and he gestures inside, and you can see like a sort of quintessential like tweed wearing kind of young-ish guy in his sort of late 20s, early 30s, with a whole slew of deconstructed coffees and teas in front of him, all empty, who is looking very fidgety and agitated and glancing around, but doesn't seem to have sort of glanced through the glass towards the front at the collection of you.
Well,
he's going to hate this.
Thank you for keeping him company. But Karnam?
Yeah, sure. PC Singh, but
PC Singh.
Oh, we're both constables, so we might be on first name terms.
Same basis.
Yeah. You are right. That's well. Actually, make a social roll. Why
Roll
not?
social. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Roll for friends.
Roll for friends.
Now, is this worth 4 points of luck?
The Folly has a reputation.
Yeah, that's true. I think it'd be funnier if I failed this, because of course the Folly's reputation is
not good.
Don't get involved with the Folly if you
agree.
want your career to be, not the most difficult.
He doesn't want to be on
prosperous.
first name basis with you.
Yeah.
He thinks it's a liability to be on first name basis with you.
Thank
That's
you, PC
fine.
Lewis. Do you need anything else from me? Are you able to take over here?
Well, I was going to stop and ask, how is he doing? But I think with the failed social roll, I think he's going to turn around and run away.
He seems pretty keen to leave at this point.
Nope, that's fine. Oh, I failed the roll. I'll let him go.
Let's go.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. He mentions a couple of sort of administrative details about handover and report, and then books out of there pretty much as quickly as he can. You notice, Barton, that he gives you kind of a look as if he's considering saying something. Do you want to make a quick read person check?
Can it be observation?
Unfortunately, this is a
But
read
no,
person.
Okay. Things I am not good at because, frankly, he does not care.
The look in
No.
his eyes is less interesting than some of those deconstructed teas. Maybe you'll get one for yourself.
Yeah, look, he's not. I can probably tell that he's about to say something. But I think I just give him like an unsmiling, just kind of a,
Yeah, he
and then walk into the coffee shop.
he doesn't respond in any way that beyond just sort of a pleasantry and darts off. You would know how to get in contact him if you wanted to again, but the two of you are darting into the coffee shop as the others come out, and you'll actually be able to rally for a second to share any last words before you go into a hostile interview now and share any final details before the session.
I didn't know it was going to be a hostile interview. I just found out that police officers have bonus dice on all social roles with law-abiding citizens in the course of their duty. So look forward to that.
PC Singh is not a citizen, though. He is also a police
No,
officer.
I know, yeah. But no, I was thinking about.
And I'm gonna say,
Old Mate.
but hippies, or hipsters, not super known. Like a lot
This
of
guy
them are.
doesn't. Yeah, this guy looks like he's doing at least
That
one illegal thing
council
a day.
meeting, at least.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay.
whether or not, I mean, I feel like that's going to be up to Jim to decide whether this man is law-abiding or not based on his background. But you know, because I'm assuming the idea is there are people who respect the badge, and I get the feeling a hipster is not going to respect the badge.
Okay.
We'll see.
Who is more likely to say the phrase "a cab" than a hipster?
We'll see if he gets tense. But yeah, is there any words that the four of you want to share before we close up?
I see
Probably.
you're still doing really well at making friends in the department there, Patrick, huh?
Oh, well, yes, the Folly does have a certain reputation. There's not much we can do to shake it except what we're doing today, which is community engagement, and I think there's a brighter future ahead.
Right.
Hello.
And three of you plus dog step inside.
I was just I'm gonna remove myself from. I'll
Yep.
seeing everyone reconvene. I will go up and present myself at Pat's as appropriate, and then I'm gonna fuck off into the mall, taking advantage. I'm gonna see if I can get a sense of this vestigia anywhere else or any more movement from the two relevant parties. I'll basically just be doing that throughout this scene. Also taking opportunity of I haven't been in this mall before, and I'm just gonna race around and have a bit of a sniff. So
Absolutely.
more interested in that than the person.
You've got a vest. You're going to be able to do anything.
I'm
you want.
official.
Exactly.
I'd say that I
I
also
will-
make sure that Lucy has like a couple of coin, like some cash on her, and I'm gonna yell after her, "Bring me back a paper."
Oh, I'm gonna steal a paper. You got it.
I've given you money, but whether you use
I'm
it
not
or not
using
is
that
like
money.
it's your
I
prerogative.
mean, I'm spending the
The
money on
criminal
cigarettes
dog.
and liquor.
Can we order you a puppuccino?
Yes,
Puppuccino.
you absolutely may.
Pacino?
One last thing then before we finish up. Lucy, can you give me an observation?
Ooh.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. So I've got a
Observation.
60 in this. That's a success.
Okay. As you stroll away, the last thing that you spot trotting back past the bookshop, heading into the mall deeper, is your eyes flick over and the blinds have been opened, still doors closed and stuff like that, but the top floor, looking largely undamaged, is completely fine. And you would swear that just for a second, you walk and reckon that the eyes of that bluey cutout following you.
Nemesis.
Well, that makes sense. The dog.
And I think that's where we'll end the session.
That's
for
hilarious.
a moment. All right, brilliant. Thank you so much, everybody. That
Well,
is-
now I'm gonna have to. I've read all the Rivers of London books. Now I'm gonna have to watch all of Bluey.
There's
That's my next
like-
research point.
There's like 50 something episodes per season. Good luck.
Yeah, enjoy that.
Yeah, the episode's like 10 minutes.
15
fine.
minutes long or whatever, yeah.
Yeah,
Punch through.
It is irrelevant to the session, but Barton, you do get handed back that bag of pig's ears that is about like a third, like 2/3 less than it was previously.
Look.
And just like hands it back and goes, "I'll get more."
It's expected
Nice.
at this point. Like if we've worked together before, then I know what happens with snacks in general around pudding.
Hey, if there's one thing
It's a
you know about
treat.
fire, it consumes a lot.
Besides, like I know Lucy's a responsible young lady. She can self-regulate snacks probably
That's
better than I
right.
can, to be honest.
I cannot.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Together we are
everybody.
the snack house.
Yeah, well, you know, it's appropriate. Very Rivers of London. Thank you so much
Snack
for joining
gang.
us, everybody. That
Thank you
is
for
session
running
1.
jam.
We'll be back with the next session of Bookshop next week. Rivers of London, again, you can get from chaosium.com. You can also check out the books themselves by correct name, Ben Aranovich. If you are in the US, I believe the first book has a different title, but you'll be able to find it by looking up
Midnight Riot.
Exactly. You'll be able to find it by looking up the Peter Grant series. Enjoy. Thank you again to Roll20, and we will be back again soon. Thanks, Art. Thanks, Jackson. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Jimbo.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.